Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Fly Racing GNCC post-race show here on digitaloffroad.com. We're coming at you from the Power Line Park GNCC in St. Clairsville, Ohio. Had some beautiful weather, track conditions nearly perfect, a little bit slick, but going to be an awesome day of racing. You know, had the typical Power Line Park mud hole, some of the other mud holes, hill climbs, and some single track thrown in for just a perfect track for these guys to get out there and race on. Off the start in the XC1 Pro Class, the usual, we got Charlie Mullins and Paul Wigley out front, along with Caleb Russell, battling for the motorsport.com pole shot. And the same thing we have in the XC2 Pro Lights class, a couple guys that have been getting really good starts lately. Cody Gregg on the YZ252 stroke, with Jason Thomas not too far behind him, and Stuart Baylor, who would eventually jump out to the early lead. When we get to the Powerline mud hole on the first lap, it's a familiar sight from the last four races. It's Charlie Mullins out front with his teammate Caleb Russell right behind him, starting to pull up to a little bit of a lead over Paul Wigley. Corey Buttrick back in his first race since the bad crash at Unadilla. Then was a little bit of a break to our next group of riders. We got Thad Duvall and Jed Haynes, and if you could see in the corner there, Josh Strang actually just jumped across the mud pit and he took a couple spots there. And here we got Nate Canny and Jesse Robinson on the beta with Jimmy Jarrett behind him. We've kind of seen this happen the last four races. I think it is, Charlie Mullins and Caleb Russell hooking up early in the race and just really putting the hammer down and kind of separating themselves from the rest of the pack. And today was no different. These two guys got out front, took advantage of some of the other top guys having some mishaps in the first lap or so, and so just made a little break. And we got Corey Buttrick, who was riding great. We weren't really sure how his fitness was going to be. He's been off the bike for a while. And he kind of led this next group. We've got Buttrick, Strang, Duvall, who kind of hooked up and started working their way back towards that group with, back towards Paul Wigley, who was running in third. And we got Lafferty hammering down on the 300 two-stroke. Back to the mud here again, and we got Caleb Russell, who got out in front of his teammate Charlie Mullins and just did what Caleb does. He puts the hammer down and keeps pushing. The kid's not afraid to go for it. Charlie was doing his best to try and keep him in sight, but admitted later in the day that it just wasn't his day, didn't have anything for his teammate. Here comes Paul Wigley, and as you see, this next pack started pulling in on Wigley, and we're going to set themselves up for what the rest of the race was going to be like. So we got Buttrick still ahead, and you see Strang jumping across the mud. They would make the pass on Buttrick there. That was definitely a hot line, but definitely risky as well. Thad Duvall hanging on to that train. After being out front in so many races lately, it really started to look like it was going to be Caleb Russell's day. He just kept increasing his lead. Charlie would get close to him, but he would just pull back away. Wasn't making a lot of mistakes, riding smooth and just turning faster lap times. Meanwhile, we had the battle back here where Strang got around to the front into third place with Duvall, who was having one of his better rides of the year after a tough year, behind him. And we got going to the pits, and unlike the last race, everybody pretty much pitted on the same lap, so there wasn't any sort of not necessarily pit strategy, but there was no difference in the pitting. Everybody stopped at the same time, so that kind of kept things going. We got Caleb and Charlie, that was as close as they would have gotten for the rest of the race, pretty much, was that pit stop there. Strang staying in third, Duvall fourth, Wigley would be in fifth, and Corey Buttrick would eventually drop off with, I believe it was an injector problem. His bike wasn't sounding real good. On the last lap, Caleb Russell had pulled about a minute over Charlie Mullins, and Mullins had at one point a minute over this next pack of Strang, Duvall, and Wigley, until he gets stuck on the 6 mile uphill. Duvall gets around Strang and Wigley. The guys battle into the mud pit. Strang and Wigley get stuck for a second, gives Mullins a chance to break away. Caleb Russell comes to the finish, takes the win. Charlie, with his 1 minute lead, cut down substantially, and here we go. We got the battle to the finish. Duvall and Wigley coming in. Wigley crashes hard into the tree on the outside of the finish, gets up, wasn't sure if he was going to be okay, rides his bike across the finish line, had to be tended to by the medics, but ended up walking off on his own power. So the two big stories of the day, Caleb Russell taking his first ever win, and then Charlie Mullins with the second place, extending his points lead over Josh Strang, who ended up to go fifth after getting stuck in the Powerline mud hole on the last lap. Take a look at the full top 10 results. We got Russell, Mullins, Duvall, Wigley, Strang, Jarrett, Lafferty, Canning, Robinson, and Scotty Watkins in 10th. Looking at the full point standings here, we can see that Charlie Mullins has pulled out to a 26-point lead over Josh Strang, who now only has 6 points over Paul Whitley. Caleb Russell a solid 4th, Kenny in 5th, Fletcher 6th, Lafferty, Jarrett, Vol, and Bach rounding out the top 10. Stuart Baylor finally getting back on the podium, taking a win in the XC2 Pro Lights class. Jordan Ashburn holding on for 2nd after 3 straight wins, and Jason Thomas holding on to 3rd place. Roy Mead 4th, and Andrew DeLong 5th. Looking at the points, you can see that Baylor's pulled out to quite a lead, 38 points over Jason Thomas. Jordan Ashburn and Andrew DeLong are right on Thomas's heels, so I know he was looking to get the championship this year, but now he's going to have a dogfight for the rest of the season just to hold on to 2nd in the points. That's it for this week's edition of the Fly Racing GNCC Post Race Show. Thanks for watching. We'll be back coming at you from the Ironman, which isn't the last race this year. Kind of weird, but we'll have 3 more episodes of the Post Race Show, and we'll hope to have some new special guests for the next 3 races. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.